Right. As we wait for more people to join, again, welcome everyone to today's session. Excited to have everyone join us. Um, Today is all about mini apps. We're joined in by Nelly, joined in by Vincent from Adama, and we're expecting also Chris to be joining in later. So I think it's a pretty straightforward session, but it's just important to understand the context behind this, and that is base batches is live. There are many things you could build. I know it's a agentic summer, so a lot of people are focusing on building AI agents and anything to do with AI. But let's not forget that mini apps are a solid foundation for building on base, getting more users to your app. So it doesn't matter whether you're starting from scratch or you already have an app, you can convert to that to a mini app. And all that Nelly and Chris are going to be diving into as we proceed. And then I think most important to note is that base batches startup track is only 5 days deadline left. So if you're applying for that track, and I encourage all of you to apply, please apply now. Do not wait. Share your build on the Telegram chat. Share it with Nelly, share it with Chris, share it with Vincent and myself. Let us look at it if you need some feedback, and we'll be happy to support. And with without much, I'll give it to Nelly and Chris, and we can proceed.
All right. Thank you, Jenny, for that. Thank you for introducing today's session. And I think I also wanted to stress on the startups track that is closing on March 9th. I think that's on Monday. So if you have been thinking about applying for the startup track, please do right now. Yeah, the program is going to give you direct access to the basic ecosystem, mentorship, and a chance to go to San Francisco. So don't miss on that. And today's session is going to be about mini apps. I think I did touch on mini apps a session on last Wednesday, but I'm okay with just explaining what a mini app is. Why should you care about mini apps? The benefits of building mini apps on Base and all of that. And yeah, just going to highlight some of the things that you need. And then Chris is just going to take us through how to now, get started from mini app from scratch. And also like how to convert, if you have an existing web app and you want to convert it into a mini app, how to do that. It's pretty simple. He's going to take us through that, and also build the codes as they are. And then I have another physical session on mini apps on Friday at Web3 Clubs. So make sure to pull up. So yeah, let's just get right into it, into what mini apps are. Okay, so so a mini app is actually a full web application. You build it with whatever stack that you're used to, Next.js, React, whatever. But that web app just natively runs inside Base App on mobile, so Base App or Facasta. So I think I've also gotten questions. People are getting confused. So does a mini app run in a separate browser tab? Is it a redirect? What is it? So it's actually just a normal full web application, but it's just that it runs inside Base App and Facasta, inside the app itself. So when for authentication, if when you open a mini app, your wallet is already connected. It already loads your social identity. So I'm gonna take your identity from Facasta and Base App and load it instantly, and then you don't have to have extra authentication. So there's zero additional authentication required from a user. And last time I used an analogy of the M-Pesa app. We have so many mini apps in the M-Pesa app that you can just click and load and use inside the super app itself. Another analogy I think I would use is the WeChat. I think the one from China. So essentially it's a messaging app, but it's also something big. It's like an operating system actually. So when you open WeChat, you can order food, you can pay bills, book transport, run an entire business inside the WeChat app, and you don't have to leave the app entirely. You never have to leave the app. So Now, for base mini apps, they're like that, but on chain. So they're the on chain versions of that. So you're building inside a platform that already has the wallet, already has the identity, and already has the social graph, and already has the payment rails as well, and is running on the blockchain already. So you get that whole combination by building a mini app. So the benefits of just building a mini app and why you should care is, first of all, it has built-in distribution. When you publish a mini app, you get a listing in the base app discovery surface. So people always search for apps, they browse and all of that, they share links, and then those links they open directly into the app with a preview embed. I think Chris is gonna take you also through preview embeds, and how to actually anchor that embed and previews into your app so that it's searchable, and when I search your mini app, I can be able to find it and select it. So you get, built-in distribution. Yeah. So when you have a mini app, your distribution channel exists from day one. You don't have to build an audience from scratch before anyone can use your product. Another cool thing that I love is the social context built in. Because Base is built on the Fakasta protocol, your users have social identities. They have their followers, the casts that they've made on Fakasta. That's like a whole social graph that they have. So your app can read that context and leverage on that. And then you can now build experiences that are social by default. You could have referrals, you could have leaderboards, and all of that is native to the environment. And now I think the other thing is, of course, you can also configure gasless transactions for your users. So through Basis Paymaster infrastructure, you can always sponsor gas for your users entirely. So your users don't have to, hassle with the whole gas fees and all of that. All they have to do is just experience the whole app. They can tap, confirm, done. They don't need ETH to pay gas and all of that. I think we've always faced those errors sometimes. And now I think there's something called builder codes, which is for attribution and revenue. And I think this is the most one that builders don't know about right now when they start building mini apps. But I think Chris is gonna take you on builder codes and how to add them to your mini apps and apps actually. So builder codes just lets you earn a share of network revenue from every transactions that happens inside your app. So, like I said, we're going to go deep on later. We're going to go deep on this later in the session with Chris. But yeah, you get to have or earn a share of the network revenue from every transactions that happen inside your app and all of that. So yeah, I think this changes the economics of what you're building entirely as a developer and all of that. And yeah, I think that's all for introduction. And now before I hand it to Chris, I think I wanted to also talk about the base skills repo. Let me share my screen. Okay. I wanted to show you guys something that, if you use AI tools to code and all of that, I think it's going to be very important. So yeah, I wanted to share this as well. This one is recent. As you can see, Yusuf just talked about it last week, I mean. So yeah, I think that is very simple. You just take your AI coding tools like Claude, Codex, OpenClaw, whatever tool you use, and then you give them these base specific skills. So instead of your AI having the generic knowledge about blockchain development, it can now have like a deep specific context on how to build on Base, the APIs, everything, all the tooling, if it's mini apps, on-chain kit, and all of that. So this is a base skill. So there's a base account skill, a base pay skill, and there are more being added. So exactly. So I think this is very, very important. So to use that, just do npx skills, add base skills to your terminal. Just run that in your terminal, and now your AI tools can know how to build on base properly and have all the context they need and all of that. So if you want to actually just make it easy for you to maybe build mini apps, I think it's important that you just go deep into the base skills repo and see what you can actually come up with. I think that's all for an introduction. I'm gonna let Chris just move on with what Miniapps in. Of course, I'm gonna be just chiming in with what I know, but yeah, take it away, Chris.
So thank you so much, Nelly. That's been a really, really great introduction. So today we're talking about, of course, mini apps and base builder codes, and the two actually correlate so much in that you'll have to build an app, and with the app you'd want to of course, show your traction at some point if it's pitching to investors or when you want to apply for, let's say, grants or funding via Coinbase Ventures or just via Base itself. So base builder codes are actually really, really important in terms of showing your contributions, in terms of attributing your contributions on chain. That's basically just showing proof that you've been driving traffic or just onboarding guys on chain. In terms of now the vision and the mission of Base is, of course, to onboard 1 billion people on chain. That has been always the long-term vision. So, in terms of base builder codes, that's the main and the key role. That's uh, why we've introduced this as one of the topics today. And base builder codes actually run using the ERC 8021 standard. So that means for each and every transaction that you send via your app, it has got an attribution of 8021, 8021, all through up to the last bit of every transaction. And majorly, you can check this using two ways. So one is just basically checking the transaction hash, and the other is using the account abstraction panel on Basecamp. So just copy that. I'll show you guys a tool which you can use to check after you've already set up your base builder code. So it just helps you to check whether you've set it up correctly and your attributions are being seen on chain actually. So yeah, so you'll realize that the base builder code in itself is quite short, but the transaction that happens and the attributions that are seen or that are shown on every transaction are marked with 8021 codes all through. So yeah, I think Nelly has given a really good introduction on why mini-apps are important and why we are so much bullish on mini-apps still, even during this base batch 003. And a practical example of how mini-apps drive distribution is talking about products like Minisend on Base, talking about products like Topizi, products like Expendi. So primarily, you don't really have that particular audience when you're building out your product, or you don't really have a particular set of users that are ready to normally test out your product when you're building, let's say, in public. So with mini apps, you get the traction that you need at an early stage, which helps you to get the kind of feedback that you'd want to receive with regards to how you can improve your app to service your users better. So that is why we are still much bullish on mini apps. And in terms of the distribution, how to build it, how to integrate it with other existing technologies, or let's say tools within the base ecosystem, they're really, really easy and they really advocate for that. So yeah, I think pretty much we'll be using the best documentation to go through how to get started with building your mini apps and also how to migrate an existing app to becoming a mini app. So just straight up, I'll go ahead and share my screen on where we have this exactly on the docs. Nice. So yeah, so one thing about the base documentation is that it's quite straightforward. I think Nelly mentions this close to every session. And the reason as to why is because base is for everyone. And we really want to onboard guys who haven't written a line of code in Web3. And even if you go ahead and check the kind of language, the kind of formatting that they use, they try to make it easy for you to understand, for you to get started with creating your first apps on chain. Um, right on the other side of the screen, you can see there's a YouTube link or a YouTube video attached that you can also follow up just to like have a deeper view or a deeper understanding of how to create a mini app. So first off, of course, you need to have having a base app account. Really, yes, it's important, but you can still have a Facast account, which will help you to also set up your mini app. Um, and to a larger extent, I still think that Facasta still plays a really huge role in terms of developing mini apps on Base, the developer panel, the debugging tools on Facasta, and we also have a Facasta .json checker that just helps you to check whatever you have as your Facasta manifest.json, if it's something that's if it's valid, I mean. Yeah, so maybe just to walk us through quick fast is, of course, I've mentioned you have to have a Vercel account. So Vercel is what you'll use to deploy your app. You'll have to clone the repo created by Vercel to make your local edits. But ideally, I really don't want to, picture this from a side where, you have to strictly follow this for getting started, because I think to a larger extent, if you're technical, of course, you've ever built an app and you've already, let's say, deployed that app to Vercel. So whatever they're saying is just to know the basic setup tools, or just have the basic setup tools that you normally use to deploy and to build your apps. Have them ready, and then the most important bit is now the kind of commands that you'll be executing to make sure that you'll now be using minikit within your app. So ideally, just know what Vercel is, where you'll be deploying your app, know the right command to use, and then thereafter you can even vibe code your way through the whole app, the whole mini app. Where you'll only need human intervention, I mean, is where it now gets to the point where you need to now go ahead and use exact measurements for the images. Go ahead and set up your own colors depending on the kind of app and the themes that you want to follow. So ideally, another thing that I also didn't mention is the base documentation is AI ready. It's quite agent friendly. So the reason as to why I'm saying that is, if you just scroll up towards the top of the page, you'll get a section whereby you can copy the whole page and then just paste it to any LLM, and then give it a prompt like, "Hi, I wanna imagine yourself as uh, a professional web developer or Web3 developer. Your task is to create a mini app on base using this particular markdown file. Don't make any sort of commits without my approval, like just having a good prompt." So ideally, if at all you are someone who is good at vibe coding, then the best documentation is the best way for you to vibe code your way through and have your mini app set up in less than 72 hours or even 2 days. So yeah, after this, um, what's needed next is at least set up your profile at base.dev, which is quite straightforward. What you need to do is, I'll be sharing this tab in a few.
And sorry, Chris, to cut you off. I think I just
Yeah,
wanted to say that I remember when we were doing the on-chain summer last year, I think
yeah.
looking at this documentation for the creating a mini app, I think it's improved a lot, because I
Yeah.
remember you used to have so many steps to even add your environment variables to Basel. It was a very long step. Now you have a
Mhm.
template that you can clone and just get right into it. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that.
Exactly. Thank you. So yeah, so ideally what's happening is for base.dev is just the simplest way that you can go ahead and check your activity on chain, both on chain and off chain. So you can see ideally for Minisend, we really don't have much of chain activity. We only have more on chain activity. So by on chain, I mean transactions that are happening, let's say on BaseApp. So we have returning users, we have first time users, and you can see the number of transactions are so high, with the number of users being like around 100. So these are just active users who are on BaseApp. So back to what we were discussing, which was setting up your BaseApp profile, not really BaseApp, but base.dev profile for your app. So just say register another app. You enter the app name that you have. Let's say it's called. I think we even discussed this last time when you are on our past builder series. So once you have this set up, you just add the app domain, and then within your app layout. And I think you can see this is actually even favoring apps that are both React Native, and even if you're just building something using Vite. So you just add this within your app layout, and then add the domain here. Let's say for Minisend, I don't think it will pick, but just add your domain URL, and then verify it after deploying the changes on local to production, and then you just have it now showcased on this particular page. So that is what they're trying to like have us understand on the first document template, or the first bit of the documentation. um, Back to the documentation, you'll have to create, of course, an account at base.dev, publish your app, and another important thing is to create a post on base app. So with this post, what it just basically helps is um, introducing your mini app to the base app algorithm, or the Fakasta algo, that will now help people discover your mini app on the social feed. And also in terms of it will also help in terms of ranking you, if at all you are on the social side of things on base app, or if you are under finance, if you're under gaming. So this is what will determine whether you'll be ranked or not. So please share it as a DM, share it as a post once it's ready. um for the next steps, I think we can check. I think this is really new. There's a section talking about mini app templates. I think you can just check this out. So it's a GitHub link that just um, gives you a basic starter kit on, like how to get started with building a mini app, which is still really resourceful. Let me drop this on the chat so that we share it with the rest. Yeah, so you can just check that repo out. It will help you in terms of just building like a starter kit, a startup template, I mean, on your first mini app on chain. So yeah, getting back, we can move now on to the core bit of now mini apps, which is the manifest section. Just before we go on to, the building checklist, if you're building for base app, what are the qualifications? So this is really important. So how do you get your manifest? That's the first question. So in terms of getting your manifest, it's really not that complicated, but can be a little bit challenging for a first-time builder who is building on chain. Probably, let's say you're coming from a Web2 side of things, and now you want to go ahead and deploy your first mini app, generate your first manifest. So first off, you'll need a Fakasta wallet or a Fakasta account, which nowadays is actually free. So you'll need to visit fakasta.xyz, get an account. Of course, you don't really have to verify your identity, but there is normally a verification at when launching your Fakasta wallet the first time. So once you verified that you're the owner of that wallet by just linking it, let's say, to your phone, then that's good. And then the next thing is to move on onto the settings side. I think it can be better if I'm demonstrating this from Fakasta. Yeah, so you'll head on to the settings panel. Once you are here, you move on to, let's say, verified addresses. Uh-huh. I think it should be under verified addresses. Okay. So ideally, I'm trying to get my private key for my Fakasta wallet. Let me check on developer tools. Let me see where we should be getting them.
Wait, you're trying to get
Yeah,
for
my
what?
private key. Yeah, for Fakasta. I think it's been a while since I visited this panel, but
Oh, you want
let's
to
see.
sign the manifest with it, or?
No. I remember you have to get the private key, and then
Uh-huh.
you'll use the private key to import your Fakasta wallet to, let's say, another wallet like MetaMask or Phantom. And then
Mm-hmm.
after doing that, visit
Mm-hmm.
now. You'll run the npx command, which
Mm-hmm.
launches on localhost port, let's say localhost
Mm-hmm.
3000. And then you'll
Mm-hmm.
click on the sign manifest, which will trigger you to connect your wallet. And then once you sign that,
Ah,
yeah, you remember, right?
yeah, but actually right now you could do it with the base account. So right now when you
Mhm.
go to the mini app tools, when you try to set up your mini app in the mini app tools, I think can I share my
That's
screen?
on base.dev.
Yeah, on base.dev, and you go then to the Miniapp tools. I think right now you can do it with your base account. You
I
don't,
think
yeah, you
that's
don't
even
need,
easier.
yeah. So let me
Nice.
try to sign in.
Mhm.
Yeah, so when you go to now the Miniapp tools and account association, it's going to tell you now to, if now you import a Miniapp over here with the URL, it's
Mhm.
going to tell you to sign.
Uh-huh. So ideally, all the functionalities that were
Yeah,
previously on Fakasta have been
yeah.
migrated to base.dev
Yeah,
now.
to the base.dev.
Aw-
So if that, but
Awesome.
you know, Minisend already has the account association. So, but for any Miniapp that doesn't have the account association, there's going to be a
You'll
button
be
here.
prompted.
There's going to be like a red thing over here, and then telling you to verify and sign. So when you sign, it's
Mhm.
gonna sign with your base account, and then you
Yeah,
get now the account association details, like now the header, the payload. Then you copy that, and now you paste them in your Facasta.json.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
way
one thing that
easy.
happens when, yeah, it's way easier, and with like constant documentation updations as well. Things also get to change. So formerly we were using like Fakasta like for everything. So you'd have to get your private key from there, import it to, let's say, a wallet, an externally old wallet, like account, I mean, like MetaMask or Phantom. And then with that, you visit now the local host port, click on sign manifest, then it triggers you to connect your wallet. So it was really a long process. So right now, all you need to do is just get to base.dev under the Miniapp tools, paste in your app URL, and then it will ask you to confirm your like ownership of that Miniapp.
Yeah,
And once you just click on that, it will prompt you to like sign that particular message using your smart
yeah.
account. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the whole process. Just yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very easy. Actually, we just did it here with someone who was trying to get their account association details, and it was just that you just sign it with your base account, and then it's
Mm.
gonna give you those three fields: the payload, the header, and I think something else. Then now you're gonna just take that and copy it into your Facasta.json. Yeah, it's actually very, very easy right now. Actually, I think maybe for the Friday session that we're going to have, then I think we could do it. Maybe I can just vibe code a small mini app and all of that. Then just for the purposes of showing people how to get the account association, the metadata, and configure everything. Now, yeah, and show them.
Yeah, nice, nice. Yeah, I think we can have it this coming Friday. We can just have something built from scratch, even if it's web coded, and then we show you guys how to just sign that transaction. So manifest is like the most important bit of mini apps on base. So you really have to master it from the start at the mwisho, like up to the end, and then make sure you have all the correct details set up. And another important thing is you have to make sure that the endpoint that serves your app and has the manifest .json details is actually live and deployed, because that's what's being queried by best.dev and other platforms like Farcaster now. So make sure that you have that endpoint deployed, even if it's an API route or just under like your app, most specifically under your app directory. So yeah,
Okay. Sorry to
that's
cut you
it
off.
for
Maybe maybe I could just show them the full manifesting because it's actually very important. I
yeah.
so yeah, I think you can see my screen. So what happens is that you go to your public folder and then you just create a .well known folder as well, and then that's where you're gonna host your Facasta.json. So so for your app to work and for it to be verified on base.dev, your Facasta.json or your manifest file needs to be accessible um, at this path over here. So let's say maybe minisend.xyz, then well-known Facasta.json. And then now we're going to use the account association tool like Chris is showing you there. Maybe you can just click on that.
We can't really see your screen, Nelly.
Can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Okay, okay, let me just try and share again. Share screen, manifest. Is it access? Can you see it now?
No, not yet. Yeah, now it's up.
Okay, yeah. So I think this is if you just go to docs.base.org, Miniapps Core Concepts Manifest. So I was saying your manifest file needs to be accessible at this path. So let's say it's minisend.x.xyz, then it has to be accessible at this point. And this is how the manifest looks like. How does it look like? It should be somewhere here. Okay, let me just
I
yeah,
think you
yes,
can
this
just
is yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is how it looks like. So this is what you're gonna have as the default for your forecast.json. And then now when you have your app, so when your manifest file is accessible, now when you're going to actually now you have to get these three details. That's when you're going to sign with your base account. So initially it's gonna tell you manifest found, but we cannot really see your account association details. So you're gonna use the account association tool. I think I had opened it here. Let me just share this tab. Oh, I think I need to kind of be logged in. Let me sign in and see. Um, just a moment. So I'm using my base account. I'm gonna sign that. I'm gonna use my passkey to authorize this, and then now connecting. Yeah, now like I said, the mini app tools. So when you do your app URL over here, so there's the account association. So you have to sign them. For example, maybe I could just try app.minisend.xyz. Yeah, as you can see, Chris's account is already associated, but if you don't have any details over here, there's gonna be like a button over here telling you, please verify or generate your details over here. And then you're just going to sign with your base smart account because this is what you're authenticated with, as you can see. And then it's gonna give you those three fields that are missing from this forecaster.json over here. Let me share this tab. Yeah, so it's gonna give you these three details, and that's all you need to now prove ownership that you own that mini app and that you also have a valid Fakasta account and all of that. So yeah, and I think another very important thing is that for your icon URL for your splash image, they need to be absolute. That means that they need to be https dot your domain and then like this. You just don't link them in your folder. They need to be absolute. Yeah, but I think yeah, that's the whole manifest thing that I was talking about. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to stress on the manifest because I think most people have issues with their manifest most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really solid. And maybe just to back that up is to, like most of the time, just as many Nenias mentioned, is most of the time you get builders struggling with various errors using on their mini apps simply because they have invalid configurations on their mini app side. Either one of the images is like way bigger than expected or way smaller. So you have to really follow the particular dimensions that have been highlighted in the docs for you to get a good configuration. So please just check on that. Follow the docs just step by step. And if it's really that complicated for you or you find it a little bit hard, you can just feed it onto an LLM and then make sure it's an LLM that's also running within your IDE. And then I think another cool thing that we didn't really mention is the fact that you can also use the base MCP docs. So that means you'll be installing the base documentation globally within your machine. So if it's a MacBook, if it's an HP Elite book, whatever the machine, MCP is like in full its model context protocol. So it's a way in which AI agents can communicate with externally owned or externally hosted servers while still verifying the details from one end to the other. So ideally, if at all today I built Minisend and I have a whole Minisend documentation and guys want to integrate with us in terms of our APIs. They want to do an on and off ramps, and then I give them an endpoint to just use our MCP. Then everything that's talking about Minisend or everything that's evolving around Minisend, they can still query that using an AI agent on their machine. So then they don't really need to go every now and again to paste or to copy the documentation and then feed it to the LLM. So you can just check that out on the docs. It's readily available in the documentation. Just copy it, run that command, and then just tell your AI agent to use the docs, the MCP docs from base, and then you'll be good to go. I think we're remaining with two major bits of Miniapps, and then we get into base builder codes because I think time is running quite fast. So I wanted to touch on something on Miniapp context and why is it's really important. Uh-huh. So let me share. Yes, I hope you guys can see my screen. Yeah, nice. Uh-huh. So for Miniapp context is really important for guys who want to build on one, gaming, two, social, and three, even finance. So for the context bit of Miniapp context is just the fact that someone can see Xiaomao or just Nelly just did a transaction, or Nelly is also part of this community. Nelly has also used this app. So for example, if you're building a gamified platform or a gamified Miniapp on base, and lots of people are using it, and you want to drive more trust for that Miniapp, and you need a way in which you can, let's say, have avatars on the main introduction screen or the main component of that app. What you do is use the mini app context. It will derive the user's account from the user profile data, where the mini app was open, and then the hosting platform, and then it will just tell any user that's coming to your app that Nelly just did a transaction. So ideally, you're getting context, or you're getting information about your users without necessarily getting deep into their personal details. So ideally, just what's being offered by Base or by Farcaster, you can easily just use this and then be telling people that, okay, we are building this this mini app that allows people to split bills, and to make it more friendly and to make it more enjoyable, you can easily see Nelly just did this amount of transaction, or he just received this amount of USDC in a tip form. So this is really important if at all you're building around gaming, and is a huge aspect in terms of driving transactions or driving traction on chain. If at all you want people to trust your mini app either on Base or on Farcaster. Yeah, so pretty much that's just it. A way in which you can integrate it, we've already mentioned that. Just copy the page. Right now, it's an AI agent's era. If you're not bullish on AI, if you're not bullish on cloud code, cloud bot, all these AI agents, you're really missing out. So at least have some context or have some knowledge around AI and AI models, and then just pass through the base documentation, try these particular functionalities, and you'll really enjoy shipping on chain. Next, I wanted to touch on notifications, and then lastly, we touch on base builder codes once more from the documentation, and then we'll just wrap it up. So for notifications, this is also another key bit of Miniapps, and the reason as to why I say so is everyone normally wants to be notified when something happens. Ideally, however much it's not something that really affects them, but they'd want to know when something happens, either if it's a transaction that failed or a transaction that went through, they'll need a confirmation. So mini apps also have a way in which you can send notifications to your users via a notification library called Naina. So right now, I think the docs have really advanced, and you can easily hook up onto Naina or just use. I think they nowadays don't even talk about Naina. I can see this bit is already like updated, but you can still use Naina for this particular use case. So this is how it works. What you need to do, one is get a webhook URL, and the webhook URL that you're gonna be using, you're gonna have to create an account with Naina. Naina is the company which recently acquired Farcaster. I think that was like around a month ago now. And then with that webhook URL, if you can see my screen clearly, there's a bit that talks about configuring a webhook URL, like this particular bit here. So this webhook URL is what's gonna be called at any point when, let's say, a user has added your mini app to their feed or to their homepage. So mini app added, mini app removed, events like that on the UI. This is the endpoint that's going to be called, and you'll be using like an external library to do that. So I think right now they've sort of like abstracted this in a way. Yeah, actually, it's Nina still. So you get a free API key from Nina, and then set the Nina API key in your .env and variables. Once that's up, of course, you'll get a webhook URL. And then after doing that, um, set it for particular events like once a payment has been done, a bill has been split, tokens have been sent to users, a transaction has failed. So for any particular event that you'd want to be shown on the user side, you can easily use Nina to do that. So for example, you can see for a mini app, has been added, you can send that. A mini app has been removed, you can send that. And then it's normally free for the larger bit of it. And I don't think you can be sending like more than 10 or 20 transactions in a day. Not really transactions, but notifications. So if at all you have like an app which requires users to be getting constant notifications, then you'll have to buy the premium version of Nina. But if at all you just want to use it for basic functionalities or basic notifications, then you can enjoy it for up to around 1 year. Uh-huh. So that's pretty much it for notifications. And you can check on the build checklist, or if you're building for base app, and then you'll get some particular rules that you have to follow when you're sending notifications to your users. One, they don't really need to be too much. Don't send more than 5 or 10 notifications in a day. Two, send notifications that can convince someone to do an event within your app, and not necessarily drive them away. So something like, you've received one USDC tip from so and so, and let them be direct, and don't really have long notifications. Let them be direct, like payment has been sent, payment received, one USDC sent, things like that. So have them simple so that users don't get agitated when they use your mini app. Much more on that, you can easily get them under notification guidelines. Let me drop this as well. Mhm. Yeah, so pretty much those are some of the core bits of mini apps. So we've talked about what a mini app is. It's just an app within another app. Think about it. I normally give like examples of the early days of Opera Mini, where you'd access Facebook, Twitter, Instagram from within Opera Mini. So think about mini apps within that same context. We've talked about how to set up your manifest file, which is the JSON file, which is the most important bit of mini apps. Third, we've talked about mini app context, which is basically advocating for more users to try out your app by showing them people who are already using your app. And then lastly, we've talked about sending notifications, which is a core bit of mini apps, just to give people information about events happening on your mini app and some of the things that they've been doing within your app over time. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Nelly, if you have probably an addition, you can
Oh,
drop us
yeah.
some, and then move on to builder codes.
Okay, yeah. So I think I wanted to stress on embeds and previews. So embeds are just, mini apps, they use metadata to create embeds. So when users share the links, so there's this part for the core concepts. I think it's a very important thing that you add this meta tag. So Chris, maybe you could just go to the embeds and previews, hapa kwa core concepts on the mini apps part. I think up. Yes, yeah, exactly. This is actually very, very important in your mini app. So also this is another issue that I've seen people face when they're building out their mini apps. So as you can see, the name is written name, Fakasta FC mini app. So most people forget to include this when they're embedding their the meta tag in their head section of any page that you want to make shareable. So there's also one for Next.js metadata and there's for HTML metadata. So please don't forget to add that. And then another, yeah, I think I think embeds and previews is the only thing that you had left out just a little. And then, yeah, you talked about the notifications and then the authentication. Yeah. And also there's so let me give you guys a checklist of some of the things that you need to have for your mini app to work correctly. So I think one issue is, for example, right now you go to the base mini app tools and generate the account association with, let's say, an app of a domain for maybe Vassal, so maybe .vassal.app, and then later you buy maybe an .xyz domain. You would need to delete the account association that you have, so you need to clear the manifest details, the header, the payload, and all of that, and then generate new ones for the new domain that you have. So I think it's better if now you purchase a custom domain now and the DNS is configured before you register on base.dev, or you can always register with Vassal if you don't plan on buying a custom domain. And then later, when you need to your mini app to be accessible with that new domain, you would need to now redo the whole account association thing. You have to scrap the old details and then generate new ones with the new app ID and all of that, because the app ID domain is locked. Oh, yeah, and Chris, I think we also left something very important in the base app mini app tools, I mean. So let me just share my screen. When you go to the mini app tools, share screen. Let me see. Share. Yeah, so I think there's also something when you come to mini app tools. I think it's going to redirect to this. Let me share this tab. When you go to the console, for you to verify your app, it kind of tells you to add some meta tag into your layout. So let me see if I can find it. I think let me just try maybe a random domain. Maybe I could try.
Nelly, we can't see your screen. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me try and share again. I think it's just a problem when I switch tabs. Share screen. Which exactly? So this is the one that I want to share. This field. So this field, yeah, this is the. Tell me if you can see my screen.
Not yet.
Okay. Not yet.
Yeah.
All right. Let me try again.
Is it on base.dev?
Yes, just go to base.dev and then the mini app tools. I think maybe, I don't know if we can try with just a random domain, because I think, or maybe we can just show them on Friday. For your app, sorry, for your app
Yeah.
to be verified on base.dev, there's a meta tag there's like an app ID, which is like a random digit 68.1, which is going to be now affiliated with your app domain. So again, if you change your app domain from Vassal to a custom one, you'd need now to redo the whole thing, because remember that one was affiliated with an old domain and you migrated your domain to a new one. But I think I would love to show that on Friday as well.
Yeah. Awesome.
And I think something, yeah, so now, yeah, and then another thing that I need to stress on again is the manifest. So make sure that your manifest is hosted at .well-known /facasta.json. It should be accessible there. Even me, I should always just come and see your Facasta manifest file or your manifest file. Another important thing is that your image URLs have to be absolute and not relative. So for absolute, maybe it's https:/your domain.com/now the image URL. So it's not relative that you're accessing it from within a folder with now, it's not relative. I hope you guys get, relative versus
Yeah.
absolute.
Yeah.
Another thing is all images have to be PNG or GPG. So you cannot choose SVG because SVG kind of fails silently within this app. So you could be wondering why are my images not being resolved, but it's because you've used SVG. And also Chris said that your images have to be some dimension, some exact dimension. So I think it should be 1024 pixels x 1024 pixels. Yeah, with no alpha transparency. And then, oh yes, another important thing that you also need to know. Let me hope my screen is gonna share again because I need to show you guys this. Tell me if you can see my screen.
No, no, okay, yeah, we now we can see it.
Okay, so I needed to stress on for the manifest, for now, for your manifest file, I think another important thing is that, I don't know if it's here or, oh, it's in the embed. Yeah, it's in the embed. For the embed, is it really in the embed or is in the, let me see. There's a very important thing that I wanted to stress on that people, oh, yes. So when not, because you have to, first of all, copy this and then host the manifest, deploy your app to Basel for it to be live. And then now, when you go into the mini apps tools to the base.dev mini app tools, now if base.dev can resolve your manifest file. Now it's going to give you the exact details to fill in here, and then you can redeploy again. But for your app to be now indexed on Facasta and Base App, you have to, for this part where it says no index, you have to turn it into false. You have to change it to false because no index set to true means that we cannot be able, or your app is not indexed on base app. So remember to also change this to false as well. That's very important. And that's another issue that people have been facing with their base apps and their mini apps and base app not being indexed. So for example, I search Minisend, it's not indexed, so I cannot get it. So just turn this into false. Yeah, or change it to false. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that I wanted to stress on. And yeah, I think now the last thing, now after you have your mini app live, you've done all of this. For you to launch your mini app, just take your mini app domain, let's say app.minisend.xyz, and then just share it with like a post on BaseApp or Facasta. Just go to BaseApp and then just paste the URL, and then that's how you launch your mini app on either Facasta or Base. So yeah, you tweet or you cast with your app URL, and then it's going to be launched. And I think within 1 hour, it can be it's indexed and people can search it on BaseApp or Facasta. So I think those are some very, I think those are the only thing that you'd left out and I really wanted to stress on. I don't
Yeah,
think I have anything else. Yes, the no index set to false. I did talk about that. Yes, I think that's those are the very important things. Yeah, and yeah, I think we can move on to builder codes. Do you want me to kind of stress or introduce builder codes, or do you want to go with it?
yeah, I think pretty much we've actually exhausted much in terms of mini apps. And thank you also for the addition on embedded and previews,
Yeah.
something to do with metadata, the no index true,
Yes.
which is really, it's a small
Mm-hmm.
bug. Most people don't really notice it.
Very.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a small bug that guys normally miss out on. Yeah, so I think most of the things that we've shared will also be repeating more and even adding more onto what we've discussed today on Friday. So also be on the lookout to join us this Friday at the Web3 clubs as we talk about mini apps and even more on builder codes that we're gonna be introducing in a few. So for builder code, it's more of straightforward. I think Nelly talked about it, why it's important when you're starting off, and why we are so much bullish in terms of, attributions on chain, and even at this particular moment in time, we can't really just talk about someone contributing on chain without having proof of them doing that. So it's more of like a way in which Base will be discovering builders, creators. Actually, this is more on the builder side. Builders who have been contributing for the longest and the kind of traction that they've been driving on chain. And so for builder codes, it's a really important tool that was recently introduced like 2 weeks ago. So ideally, they attribute on chain activity to your app or wallet with ERC 8021 standard, and then each payout is actually binded towards that code. And the benefits of having your base builder code setup is: one, you qualify for future rewards. So if your app drives transactions, builder codes let base automatically attribute that usage back to you, unlocking rewards as the program expands. And as we all know, base are speculating for a base token, We don't know when they'll be launching it out, but I think this is a good opportunity for you to explore builder codes and have yourself in a good position whereby you can also qualify for future rewards. And then for analytics, reliably you can track your on-chain usage, user acquisition, and the conversion matrix that you've been having over time via base.devs. And then in terms of visibility, apps with builder codes can show up in discovery surfaces like app leaderboards. I think one thing that we also didn't mention on base.dev is there's a leaderboard section. Sorry, I've just stopped sharing my screen when I wanted to share another tab. Let me see. There is a leaderboard section that just basically highlights all the mini apps that have been driving traction on chain. So something that you easily notice with all these mini apps is that the kind of transactions that they have in place, you can see this mini app has got like 50 users, 50 weekly users, and the total transactions that they've done are like around 972. So this is now made possible. Like you can track the kind of transactions that every mini app brings on chain because of the builder codes that have been set by these builders or developers. So that's also another importance of setting up your base builder codes. You can get ranked and get rewarded at the same time because of the kind of traction that you've been driving on chain. Uh-huh. So ideally, in terms of now setting this up, one, you can do it using WAGMI, and then there's a way you can do it also with Privy, and then it's also like really broad in terms of the kind of people who can use it. So various people can also go ahead and integrate base builder codes. So one, you can use it as an app developer if you're someone who is more of into React Native, Flutter, and you have like a way in which you're interacting with the blockchain, then you can still use it using the WAGMI client, which is basically a library that you can just install. So you can just say it's a package actually. So npm install or X is the library in this case, and then WAGMI and Vim also help in terms of now you interacting with the blockchain and then setting this up so that all transactions passing through your app are tagged with the 8021 numeric codes up to the end. Yeah, so app developers can use it, wallet developers, and there are various ways in which you can do it, all highlighted within the documentation. So for someone like me, I used the app developer one. So another interesting thing that we didn't mention when you're starting off is for guys who have miniapps which are already live on Base App, then you don't really need to set up your builder code. So the Base App will auto append your builder code to transactions, and every single user that makes a transaction within your mini app or the base app's browser will be attributed towards or will be attributed under your base app, your base builder code, So, but I think if you're serving users outside the base mini app, like someone like me for Minicent, and you have like a web app that's serving people from different chains like Celo, different chains like Polygon, Lisk, name them. So you can easily set this up. And then once, let's say you've done like a cross-chain stablecoin transaction, and then you're settling them back to base, you can easily now bring in your base builder code now, and then the attribution now is now set up under your name. So yeah, I think basically that's all with regards to base builder codes. It's quite easy to set up. You can use the documentation with an LLM. You can go ahead and even hard code it because ideally, if someone picks this up, they don't really have access to your base.dev dashboard and they don't have control over your base builder code. So go ahead and just check this out. And a quick question would be, how do I get my base builder code? So under the settings panel at base.dev, you'll get a section that talks about one general, that's just generally the information about the app, the members that are under your app, that are registered under your app. So one, you can have like various people from your team here. And then lastly, you'll see the builder code panel. So just say builder code and then just copy it, go ahead and integrate it within your code. You can decide to have it as a .env and then just call it using a .env variable. because you can decide to have it public or private. And then lastly, just visit the documentation and then just find what actually works for you. Yeah, so I've moved a little bit fast because time is not on our side.
Yeah.
We already
Yeah.
1 hour in.
Mhm.
Much around this, we'll be able to discuss it on Friday. So please show up at the Web3 clubs on Friday as we discuss much on even how to do this now practically within your code, and also how to set up your mini apps and deploy them on Beza. Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think Nate, if you have any addition, you can please go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So I think builder codes is actually something very interesting, and if you want to actually earn something from what you build, I think it's something very, very important. So basically, to just summarize, what Chris has said about builder codes is, when a user is gonna make a transaction inside your mini app, the transaction goes to the blockchain as a piece of data, of course. And then now we have something we call the call data. The call data just contains the function being called, and then the arguments and the addresses. But at the end of now that call data, after everything else, this is where the builder code is gonna come in. It's gonna be appended as a suffix after everything else, like a small encoded string. And I think Chris kind of showed us how it looks. It's like a small code that looks like BC slash 6Z, random, all of that. I think maybe Chris, you could just show us your builder code, how it looks like. So, basically, Base runs an option indexer that watches every transaction on Base. And then when it sees a transaction with a builder code suffix, it's going to attribute that transaction to the app that owns that code. So when you now add a builder code to your app, then when a transaction is made and has a builder code suffix as that, is now going to attribute that transaction to your app. And then that attribution is going to be fed into your analytics dashboard on base.dev. And then it's going to feed into the base builder rewards, where eligible apps and a share of the network revenue based on the attributed activity. And I think something that is very critical to understand is that the transaction still executes perfectly, even if you have a builder code appended at the end of the call data. Is actually your smart contract has no idea that the builder code is there. It's just gonna process the call data, ignore the suffix, and actually run normally. And then the builder code is just purely for attribution. It does not change any transaction behavior at all. I think another important thing that I've seen or issues with builder codes is people confuse the base app ID, like the meta tag that you have to embed or put in your meta tag in your HTML head. People actually confuse that with the builder code. So the difference is that the base app ID kind of tracks off-chain analytics, like page views, opens, sessions, like Chris said in the context. And this is how base.dev just knows what app you're looking at in the dashboard. And then the builder code is just appended on the transaction call data. It just tracks on-chain transactions, and that's how you earn as a builder. And yes, you need both for your app to actually just work very well. You need all of them, both the base app ID and the builder code. And yeah, so I think also something also to stress on builder code is that there are two attribution paths. Remember, we've said that it's purely for attribution, that is the builder code. So the first path I think is transaction made inside Base app. So if your app is registered on base.dev and a user transacts inside Base app, mini app environment, I think Base app is going to automatically append your builder code. And that's why if your app is already existing, like Chris said, you don't have to do it manually. Base app is going to do that automatically for you. So you don't need to do anything in your code. Yeah, so you don't have to do anything if your app is already live on Base and all of that. So, and the other part is, transaction that now are happening outside of Base app. Maybe now it's on the web, like app.minisend.xyz on the web. So Base cannot inject attribution for web users. So you have to add it yourself using data suffix in your WACME configuration. So in your WACME configuration, that's where you're going to add now the Base builder code. And this is now you're doing it manually. You're manually appending your builder code to every transaction sent through that client. Yeah, so if your app is a mini app only, then you don't have to do anything if it's already live. But if your app is both the website and mini app, so if your app serves both web users and mini app users, use the data suffix for or use the builder code for web clients, and just leave the base mini app to handle itself automatically. And I think that's all I needed to just stress that one. So, but Also, there's also how do you verify your attribution that it's working? Maybe I don't want to get into that because it's a bit technical. It talks about user operation hash and all of that. Maybe I can show you guys on Friday. How do you now verify that your attribution is working? After now sending a transaction, how do you confirm that it's attributed and all of that? So I'm gonna show you that on Friday and how to do that. But for now, I think that's all. That's actually all I needed to say about beta codes and all of that. So today's session has been quite very interesting, and I think uh, by Friday, I want to give you guys a challenge. Just go try. If you're gonna need a mini app for base batches, please have a mini app live, or if you wanna just do it for experimentation and fun, uh, please have a mini app live. And then if you have any issues by Friday, me and Chris will be happy to just help you guys through the issues and all of that. But I think that's all. I don't know if Vincent or Jenny wants to say anything, or Chris, do you wanna add anything?
No, no, no. Pretty much, I think we've covered close to everything that we needed during the session. Only thing is, guys, please drop us questions on our base East African TG channel. I think we just shared our Telegram channel link today. So just check out all the posts at Base East Africa, join our Telegram group. We'll be happy to answer your questions. And then also, um, if you have access to Discord, of course, just tag us up. We'll be able to answer and to serve you guys. Otherwise, thank you for everyone who has showed up. Let's catch up this Friday at the Web3 Clubs.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Nelly and Chris. And I can see there's Olivier who's asking for resources. I'll be sharing that in the Telegram chat and also just as a repost to this session, as well as the Telegram link so that you can join in and ask any questions that you have. You don't have to wait until Friday. You can keep building and ask questions there. The other thing is this Friday, we will be having an IRL session at Web3 Clubs from 5 p.m. So join in so that we can continue the conversation there. And then this is also part of a preparation for base batches. And the best way to prepare is to test your code and test yourself in a community. So in that regard, we're also running a hackathon that's been running for the past for the past 2 weeks. We are going to conclude it on Saturday. So if you just want feedback, real feedback from real users and also judges on what you're building, sign up. The link is still up. We'll be closing it tomorrow midnight for anyone who's looking to join us on Saturday. So that will also be your next step to base batches. So if you can complete it for the hackathon, you definitely can make it through to base batches. And that's it from me. Thank you all so much and see you on Friday.
Thank you.
So,
Bye, everyone. See you on Friday.
Cheers,
bye.
everyone.